Good afternoon, dear guests, and welcome here again at the public forum of Hydrogen Fuel Cells Europe at the Hannover Messe 2023. We still have some seats left. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. The ones in the front here are very comfortable. The ones behind that are also quite doable. We have drinks on the house here. That doesn't go for the people watching the live stream, unfortunately. You are also very welcome, though. So yeah, let's get comfortable, and we have an interesting topic to discuss. It was already introduced by my colleague just a few minutes ago, how to launch a startup in a maturing technology. That maturing technology, of course, being, as you expect, the hydrogen field. So please, from Enerstack, can I get a warm applause for CEO Pascal Pewinski?
Hello, Joost.
Hello
Thank
there.
you.
Take a seat. Okay, so how to launch a startup in a maturing technology. When I think of a startup, I think of a foosball table, nice drinks on Friday afternoon, young people, hoodies, the dream life. Is that the same in Enerstack, or is this a different kind of startup?
Yeah, you know,
we're
a couple of
talking about
computers and a ping pong table, you could have said also, you know. Well, it depends the kind of startup you're trying to launch. Enerstack is a startup because it was created last year. But it's a startup that has an ambition of building an industrial company, an industrial project. It's a company that has a technological project with innovative developments, but also paths to consolidate and give as much as sustainability possible to the company. And so it's probably much more like everything but not what you imagine in terms of ping pong tables, laptops, computers, and iced tea. Industry is something that you don't improvise. It is something that requires experience. It is something that requires a long-term view with experience in different type of business cases, type of business models. It's also the joining of people of various talents, which need to be complementary, and that's what an industrial innovative startup is about, and that's what we are hopefully building.
All right, you already mentioned the importance of experience here, and we've already been talking a bit about the history of the company, of course. And before we get into the product, I would be interested in exploring that history a bit more, because I do think you have quite some experience on board. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. So maybe just to make it short so that people understand what the company is about. The company is about developing and building and producing electrolysis stacks. Okay, electrolysis stacks, whether in AEM technology, in PEM technology, or in alkaline at high temperature and pressure technologies, which are a bit more in the innovation and R&D side. So, as you can imagine, these are technologies in which there are not so many proficiencies today on the market. You probably all have heard that the European Union has fantastic ambitions about building electrolysis capacities. We are speaking today about, I think, 120 gigawatts by 2030, which is absolutely tremendous compared to where we are going from. Today in Europe, there's, I'm not going to give a precise figure, but there is, with evidence, below 2 gigawatts of electrolysis operating. So everything is to build in a very short of time. And the challenge is to answer to the reduction of CO2 emissions, of course, responsible for global warming. So there is, in this perspective, a real emergency. That is why these ambitions, these European ambitions, are extremely important. And now the question is, how does the industry try to face and grab and pack these challenges on to try to reach these targets? Okay. What we see today is that, as far as electrolysis is concerned, you have a certain number of potential suppliers, which are in reality, compared to the amount of electrolysis to be installed, very little. even if all of these companies have gigafactories, it stays a very little capacity compared to what is to be built in such a short amount of time. And I think today everybody's getting consciousness about the emergency of the reduction of CO2 emissions, and in particularly also larger corporations, other corporations, industrial corporations, that when they look at themselves and say, oh, but what am I doing against that? They probably think, oh, but we have the right engineers. We have processes that could contribute doing that. We have the proficiencies of people and the group of people that have the knowledge, and if they were guided to go in that direction, to be able to deploy these electrolysis capacities. But maybe what we don't have is a stack, a cell stack, as a component. Okay? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to enable the industry to reach the European Union's gigawatt electrolysis installation targets by making the core technology available.
All right, so yeah?
I'm sorry, because I realized that your answer was going, so where do we come from to do that? Because you don't get up one morning and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So by chance, we are a team of founders that have a very important background technology-wise in the electrolysis. We have built alkaline electrolyzers for 15 years. We've been doing engineering on electrolysis for almost 10 years. We've been building and managing companies in the PEM electrolysis direction for also many years. So there is a team of people that have a great knowledge in that field, that are seeing, if I put it business-wise, a market opportunity, that are seeing that market opportunity has a sense in what you are doing when you're getting up in the morning, related to what I was expressing, the reduction of CO2 emissions, and enabling the industry to develop. And yeah, we're trying to that's where we come from. So we think that we have a good legitimacy to do that, related to our backgrounds. I would even say we're maybe a good team to bet on, if I put it this way. And yeah, and that's what makes us get up in the morning with the fighting spirit necessary, to lead and go through these kind of projects.
That still does sound like the classic startup spirit. So that part remains.
But it's important. But it's important because the path is not linear. It's not simple. You need to have a path. You need to have an idea, but also you need to compromise with reality. Okay, and sometimes not always that easy. But if the spirit is there, if it gives sense to what you're doing, the timing is right, of course, but there you need to be lucky. Then you're fine.
Okay, and I'd like to circle back to what you were just saying about this need that you recognized in all of those years of experience to enable the industry to meet those targets set by, for instance, the European Union. I like that approach, and I think it's the right one. And I'm wondering, what influence does that approach have on the product you're building?
Yeah, exactly. So that, I'm not going to say thank you for the question, because that would be typically French. It's that is exactly where it comes to. So that's the base of the idea. The question is, okay, but what are you doing different? What are you bringing? And I think through our experience and knowledge of the full electrolysis system, the full balance of plant system, we've made everything right. And before doing everything right, we also made everything wrong. So we know what paths, where can you save your time, what is an important constraint in terms of cost, etc. And what you must imagine is that an electrolyzer is a complex system with a lot of pipings, a lot of pumps, a lot of filters, and all that kind of things. And with the heart of the electrochemical cells, which are the stack. And you must imagine that all this installation, all this great installation, is only done to do one thing: to serve the characteristics of the stack of what is expected in the electrochemical cells. Okay? If these characteristics and expectations are amazingly complex to reach, are incredibly expensive to reach, you have a complex balance of plant, you have an expensive balance of plant. If you are able to identify what in these characteristics can be improved to reduce the cost of that balance of plant, then you start to have a very sharp and accurate product approach. Okay? And we believe that we have because of the chance of our experience, we have a sharp product approach of the stack in order to have the most efficient as possible. When I say efficient as possible, everything is possible, but it's a question of price. Okay, so it's as efficient, but related to a certain cost, related to a certain business model. Never forget that hydrogen being produced by electrolysis, 70 to 75%, if you're talking about megawatt or gigawatt plants, is related to the cost of electricity. Okay, so because of that, the efficiency of your stack becomes absolutely essential. And it's not a question of knowing if you're slightly more expensive or less, etc. It's not just a capex issue. It's really about the efficiency of the stack. What is the good or right efficiency you need? That's one thing. Efficiency for us is the absolute major topic. Second thing is, again, as I said, the impact on the balance of plant. How complex? Do you have tremendous pressure drops? Do you need to buy pumps for 100,000 euros instead of 10? Because the stack is requiring it. So that has a very big importance. And last but not least, when you calculate a total cost of ownership on such an equipment, of course, you consider maintenance. A stack has to be maintainable in our view, whether if it's alkaline, but if it is PEM or AEM. Okay. Fortunately, we have a background in the three technologies. They are not all at the same level, but some are very promising. We speak about AEM technology. It is a technology that is combining the best of alkaline and the best of PEM. It's not at the same level of maturity, but things are progressing out there. So we're taking into consideration all these elements.
Yeah. So even while you are only providing the stack, you're actually optimizing for the total cost of ownership on a system level.
Exactly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we have, and I think my partner was invited this morning to speak. We have a sister company that is dedicated of doing the engineering, but just the engineering, just the paperwork, and different level of engineering, as basic engineering, for example, for companies that consider they have the engineers, they have the engineering processes, they have the right proficiencies. They could do it, but they have never. And they need to have their first PNID and their first specifications to jump into the pool and join us to try to reach these European targets, as I said. And so that company can provide that engineering and support. They're not building electrolyzers. We don't want to be competitors of our customers.
Exactly, that makes sense. And with that, I'd like to give the audience the opportunity to ask some questions if you do have some. So please raise your hand and I will come find you with my microphone. Could also be later during the talk. I do have a question. So you described very clearly the need for enabling all of these large industrial players, right? We need them in order to meet these targets.
Yeah.
It's not even about competition, it's about you know, that not even being able to
We
scale up
need
would be enough.
EPCs. We need machine manufacturers. We need machine manufacturers that come from the chemistry, the oil and gas, because that's the most natural, as it looks like. But it could be from pharmacy industry. It could be from other types of industries that have issues related to thermal regulation, mechanical construction. So topics which are the topics of the electrolyzer. Of course, it's electrochemistry. Of course, it's gas. It has a certain number of constraints, and it requires a certain knowledge. Okay, but I think we see some industrial companies that very courageously are, moving towards that and saying, "Oh, there is a business opportunity because the business opportunity is healthy." This is what is driving us. There's this business opportunity, and yeah, jump in it because it's virtuous. It's virtuous because there's an emergency of reducing the CO2 emissions, slowing down the global warming, okay? And we can make it a business and industrial opportunity out of it. Okay? And it's now, because the targets are 2030, so they are already tomorrow.
Yeah, that's pretty soon indeed. So if you do recognize yourself in that profile, I'm sure you're more than welcome to visit booth F04 of Enerstack and try to
I think it's probably the easiest one to find.
It is the easiest. You go all the way there until you can no longer go there, and then you're at the
very first LA direction, the toilets.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much the time we have. Pascal, I'd love to talk. Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot. And if you still do have questions, be sure to visit that booth F04. That's all the way over there. Please, a warm applause, Enerstack.
Thank you, Joost. Thank you.